When we first think of China, we kind of think of the big picture and where it is located in the world. Well, if we take a look here at a world map and we divide the world into our four hemispheres, north, south, east, and west, we will see that China is actually located in the northern and eastern hemisphere. One of the most remarkable features about China is its unique geography. As you can tell from this elevation map, if I look at my key here, it shows where China is elevated at its greatest and where it's more flat. And you can notice if we kind of highlight some of the areas where it's greatly elevated, we look over here in the west, you have this orangey color. And it looks like almost about half of China is extremely elevated, and mostly on the west side where we see the Himalayan mountains. Okay? And then when we look further east, and we look at the key, as we see these areas of green that I'm going to shade in yellow, there's a very, very small percentage of China's land is actually flat. And you notice it all is near the east coast side where most of the rivers are ending. Now we look at yet another example of physical map of China. Okay, you can see the importance, even though not many people live there, but the importance of this region, like the Himalayan mountains and the plateau of Tibet, is you can see that all of China's major rivers begin at these highlands. I'm going to trace some of the major ones here. You see we have the Huanghe, or the Yellow, in the north, the Changjiang, or the Yangtze, in the middle, and then even more so down here, you see some of these other rivers. They all begin in the western highlands. So although it's not wouldn't be a great place to live, it's a great importance because all of China's freshwater sources actually begin the sources in the Himalayan mountains and the plateau of Tibet. Now when we take a look at a satellite image of East Asia, which in fact China is really just roughly this part here, there's our chicken, and we show these yellow lines are actually borders. We kind of isolate China. You could see from outer space, we could actually see some of these massive landforms. This here is the plateau of Tibet. Kind of looks like a little growth in the middle of this region. Along here, we see on the border of China and India, you can see the Himalayan mountains stretching all the way north, all the way down south here. And Mount Everest is actually right about here. Up here, you see a region, this would be the Gobi Desert up here, and this region here would be the Taklamakan Desert. Okay? Whereas down here we look, we see the northern plain, and you have the northeastern plain up here. And of course our bodies of water, all the seas, the South China Sea down here. So you can see again from this satellite image that China has an extremely varied geography. This page here shows another different map of China, but this one shows more of the major rivers and freshwater sources as indicated by the key right here. And the images down below, from left to right, are actually showing, this is the Yellow River, this is the Yangtze River, and this here is the Zhejiang River. And you may notice that they all do have one thing in common. Again, if you look at the backdrop, they all obviously are winding freshwater sources, but they all do cut through very elevated parts of China. And the map up here, it also proves that the Yangtze, which I'm tracing right here, is in fact the longest river of the three in China. Okay, and that is an image of it right there. Now you might wonder what good something like that serves. Okay, that is a picture of Mount Everest in the backdrop here. This is the peak of Mount Everest over here. So that is an aerial shot of the Himalayas, and the green section indicates this whole region, the extent of the Himalayan mountains. So you could really again see that it takes up pretty much a majority of the western part of China. But once again, that is where those three major rivers start from. So although the Himalayas are extremely rocky, they act as a natural barrier. They do serve a great purpose in providing China with all of its freshwater sources. And lastly, the last part of this presentation is to show you the importance of the Tibetan Plateau, or the Plateau of Tibet. If you could see here, the Plateau of Tibet has a nickname. It's called the Rooftop of the World. And you could also tell from the map that not only does this region provide China with all of its major rivers, like the Yellow, the Yangtze, okay, we also look over in the other parts of Asia, like India, all these rivers over here. You could take a look. Every one of these rivers are beginning in this high elevated part of Asia, which is again the Himalayan mountains and the Tibetan Plateau, or the Plateau of Tibet.